Now, as we begin this sequence, we're going to be focusing on steadiness, grounding us to the earth, contains us, and makes place for the beautiful radiance to shine out. So, keeping a focus on steadiness, we're going to be moving towards a refinement of the leg actions, and then moving even further to take that into some deep rotations and twists, hopefully ending up safely into the revolved Ardha Chandrasana, revolved half moon pose as our peak. So I always encourage you to just get warmed up before we begin. If you need to pause and do some little stretches on your own, do that, or come to the class with one of my previous warm-up videos already on your belt. Stand now with your feet just hip width wide or just slightly wider. Once you place your right hand to your thigh and lift your left arm up, continue to root your shoulder back in the raised arm, as well as taking the down arm back. This grounds and lifts. And then slowly come out and reach in the opposite directions, opposite side. Explore the grounding through one leg and the elevation and the lift through the other, and then release that out. Stand in mountain pose, just feeling the moment. Feel the work that you just did. Take your feet even wider now. If you need to step off of your mat, you can do that. With your left arm up and your right arm by your side, begin to push down into your feet against the squeeze in. So always containment first and then expansion, grounding into the earth. And we're just going to tip and stretch. Left, pulling back into your core muscles. You reach up. One more time each side. And now release. Hands to your heart. Arms by your side. Step in a little tighter. Now I'm going to have us roll into an opening here. So I want you to make sure you get your base steady. And I like to just kind of like prance a little bit so my feet get accustomed to being grounded. I'm not trying to tighten my stance and diminish intentionally my base. I want a little space between it so I could squeeze in. It's the toning in that keeps me steady. It's that drawing in, and that's kind of the theme here that we're working with. We have to intentionally move into a place of steadiness, but not lose the grace. To keep the grace, which is the artistic expression. And we're going to do that now with this big roll open twist. So I want you to lift up, take your left arm up, and then just start to turn open. Now with your down right arm, you could push into your thigh, and you lift and you stretch. Grounding down into your heels gives you the upward lift. I can hear my spine pop as I do this. Oh, it feels so good. And then release out, pulling the core back, not losing that steady connection. Take a moment in mountain pose. And then we're going to do the second side. So I have you lift your right arm up. Notice I keep a little bend in my knees. That keeps the power and the stretch. So the back bend has some fluidity, some bounce. And I twist to make it creative. And slow it out. Take a moment just to release, let go, soften. You just kind of shake my arms and legs. Step your right foot forward, left leg back, and square your hips to the front of your mat. This is just grounding now. Lift your arms up, and then about 3/4 up, pull back, So we're moving the arms deeper into the torso, setting the shoulder blades deeply against the back of the ribs. And now as I lean and make sure the weight is even on front and back foot, I deepen the shoulders back, I lift my heart. And now ease out, hands together into a prayer. Take the prayer pose down to your heart. And breathe here for a moment. When we reach out and we tap into that grounding and that strength and that grace, the moments become very profound. This is the power of yoga that's hard to explain to someone who's not doing it, not using the heart in each pose. Release. So we come back time and again with these principles of alignment that are so beautiful and part of Anusara. Hands to your heart. Step forward. And then back with your right leg. So turn on the mat to give you that perspective here. Pull up and in. Lift as you go slow and steady. Warrior one pose. Release. And then lean forward and step to the front of your mat. I want you to have your left leg forward, right leg back. And this time we're going to keep the legs straight. So it's Parsvottanasana, or also called pyramid pose. So as your feet have a little base, grounding into the earth, pulling up, pulsating in and out, that's that grounding steady. And it gives you room to play. And I'm going to have you just start to lean forward, lift your beautiful golden wings. Or if you like, imagine that you're a sail catching a gust of wind, and you lean into it and you stretch forward. Keep that stretch, keep that reach. And we're going to turn this into a back bend or a reverse pyramid warrior. Hands to your heart. Step forward. Step back with your left leg and land in this pyramid shape. Inhale. Exhale. Steady and bright. Reach your arms out and explore your level of reach and fold. You might even find that there's differences from side to side. When you're ready, push to lift. Keeping your thumbs rolling out, your little fingers in. Stretch back. And now release, hands to your heart. Release and step forward. Take a moment here just to pause. You can have a sip of water if you'd like. Pause the video. I want to use this moment to talk a little bit about the alignment of energy flowing in the legs and how that gives us steadiness. We call this inner spiral and outer spiral of the legs. So energy lifts up from the earth and it moves in a pattern, starting from the big toe. It kind of lifts and goes back, and like a candy cane, the energy kind of moves. And that's when I say take your upper inner thighs back. Notice how it widens the sit bones back a little bit, creates kind of this opening. So this energy comes all the way around to the belly and goes back, And then you can channel it down to make the steadiness, the lift and the power in and the power back out by dropping the tailbone and letting the energy roll. As the tailbone drops, the energy comes around and kind of widens the knees back. That's what balance is, going from not need, and you're not going too far out. So one creates inner energy and the other one is outer. Inner spiral, outer spiral. And when we're in asymmetrical poses, the energy wraps around from the back leg, comes up to the belly, drops down through the tailbone, rolls the knee out. Okay? So let's get going. We're going to do a little sequence. It's going to be a little flow. Supported side angle pose, warrior 2, goddess, back to warrior 2. Step wide on your mat, and you can do this here and then just turn. I want your right leg forward so the toes are pointing forward. You're going to slide your heel back on the left leg so you can feel that push down that initiates that energy spiraling up, navel back, tailbone down, knee out, and then melt into this so you can just feel the unfolding stretch. I even like to lift my toes a little bit and see what does that do in my steadiness. Then take them back down like a cat claw and then relax that. So steadiness means holding on to the inner light, the inner goodness, but keeping the light shining, not diminish it with power and strength. Now we're going to inhale the warrior 2, lift, and then exhale. Keep your shoulders drawn back so you're opening your chest, your arms. And then we're pulling in from the fingertips towards that heart, and then the heart opens, expands out. All of this steadiness now is expressing itself from the steadiness of the legs. So I just want you to just stay in warrior 2 for another breath. And then with an exhale, we're going to go into the goddess warrior pose. Nothing changes below the waist here. And you just roll and you stretch. You can either look down to the earth, or if your balance is feeling good today, you could look up, or you could look straight ahead. Back to warrior 2. I'm going to release. Turn, step forward, and now we're going to step back the right leg. Warrior 2. Goddess warrior. Warrior 2. Release. And step forward. Take a moment just to breathe. Relax. We're going to add a little twist here. In warrior 1, when we come in, I'm going to have you reach around and open a little bit. So step your right foot forward, left leg back. Ground into your base. Remember the spiraling and the spiraling out. Warrior 1 pose. Now gradually begin to lean forward, and you're going to lower your left arm down into the outside of your front thigh. And you turn. Keep pulling that front thigh back. Stay as long as you like. If you feel the challenge has had its run, come all the way out and land with praying warrior. release. Stay grounded, stay connected to grace. Steady, powerful, artistic, playful even. Step forward, back with your right leg. We'll do this from the side. Warrior one. Lean forward and begin your twist, a wrap. Come up slow and steady, hands to your heart. Release your hands and step forward. Pause a moment here. Again, pacing, flowing. We're going to do that same vinyasa, one side then the other, and we're going to add triangle pose into it, and then a variation number 2 of triangle, which is a lovely opening stretch. Now, here's where blocks could be very helpful for you. If you want to have a block on the outside of your front leg to slide out into, that could be a grand idea. So I want you to have your right leg forward, left leg back, open and settle, supported side angle pose, warrior 2, goddess warrior, warrior 2, triangle pose. Straighten your front leg, push down into the earth. Your shoulders are drawing down, tailbone down. Keep your heart full and lifting as you tip. Go slow and steady, taking your hand just to the outside of your front shin. And then explore. Is that far enough? Maybe this is too far for you. Adjust and adapt. I'm going to go for my block. It gives me just a little bit of steadiness here. And then I could refine my legs again. Here's what I'm thinking. Push into the big toe. Wrap the candy cane stripe around my back leg, all the way to my navel, down to my tailbone. And then wrap my inner front thigh around so my knee rolls out. My little toe in that foot pulls back. Now here's the variation. You could either just stay right here or enjoy this delightful stretch, taking your arm parallel to the floor. It's as if you have an invisible friend just holding your wrist, pulling you long, and you can feel the deep, deep stretch in your hip. Lift all the way up, and we're going to come slowly back to warrior 2 pose. Release. Pull yourself forward to the front of your mat. Take a moment. Again, if this is time for you to pause, do that. Take a sip. Take a long break. And now we're going to come on second side here. Okay, adjust your hardware. Start in supported side angle pose. Warrior 2. Goddess. Back to warrior 2. Triangle pose. And variation 2 if you like. Feel the steady pull in and the press out, and how it gives you an inner feeling of lightness, of connection, of organic expansion. And now come back up, pulling back to your power. And release. Step to the front of your mat. Breathe. So we're going to take this refinement of the pose and the energy into a deeper pose called half moon pose, or Ardha Chandrasana. And it's a grand pose also for having a block, so you can reach down into that. So either just stop and watch as I demonstrate this pose, or if you're familiar with it and you just want to go jump right into it, we'll be doing this a couple times then. Okay. That feels so good, so good. All right, so now we're gonna do this pose, slow and steady. I'm gonna have you start with your left leg back and right, so I'm gonna call it in reverse. I'm gonna have this, your right leg back, left leg out in front with a block on the outside. Use a block until you're very comfortable and steady with this, because the emphasis really is in that alignment and the spiraling of the legs rather than the importance of getting your hand to the floor. So make sure you have your priorities right, and safety should be right at the top of the list. Okay, forearm down to your thigh. Reach all the way out. And come down to the floor. Slide forward, steady. Now your bottom hand should be out a little bit and in front, directly down from your shoulder. Looking down to the earth grounds you, make this so much easier. And now sweep your arms way forward. Push back, enjoy that if you like. Or just stay steady in the full Ardha Chandrasana. Bend your knee, release down, come back to Warrior Two. And release your hands all the way down. And release, step forward. We're going to come back to the other side. So here we want to just bouncing out, because I demoed on one side and went to the other. So I want you to have opportunity both sides if you had just originally watched. Just go slow and steady, moving on your own. Come out when you're ready. And now release. And then turn. Step forward. I want you to step wider than your mat now. So you're going to be folding forward. Here, let's also gather some blocks, support, whatever you have. And with your feet wider than your mat, or if you want to turn your mat, we're going to fold forward. Settle in here. You'd even move a little from side to side. We're going to be reaching out and twisting over. So maybe you want to use blocks, put them down on the floor and then reach, extend out that way. I think I'll do that for my reach. This is pulling in and rooting to the earth, using the inner spiral to open up the tail and dropping the tailbone down so we get steady rooting back. Now, Reach forward with your left arm on the floor or on top of a block. And now I like to start with my knees a little bent and then gradually straighten as I go. So you could give that a try, or if your legs are open and lengthened, just go straight for that. Now, right arm over to your other leg. Push back and twist. Gradually just release. Take both hands down, just roll through your hips. We're going to reach for the other side here. Now, right arm forward, left arm over to your other leg. And then pressing into the earth, use that to turn safely. And release all the way out. Roll. And gradually just come all the way up. So now we're going to work with turning Ardha Chandrasana. So it's kind of like a revolved pose. So we had that little twist here. Our next step is to do a revolved triangle pose. So I'm going to utilize my blocks here again. I think I'll just do it like this. So when you step your right leg forward, left leg back, you'll come down slow and steady. You can either watch or just do this now. And then you're going to take your hand to the floor or maybe just to the inside. I use blocks because it just gives my hips a little bit more room to stretch. And this is where we're going. We're just going to wrap your right arm over your waist and push deep into your front foot. And then come out. Step forward, back with your right leg. Keep your right hand down on the floor, on the inside, or reach the outside. Make sure you're steady before you get too creative. Ooh, man, what a great stretch. And step forward. There you go. All right. Now let the wild rumpus begin. So our peak pose is revolved Ardha Chandrasana. Stop, watch, and wonder. Hands to your heart. And then step forward. Okay? So let's do that now. I'm going to have you step your right leg forward, left leg back. And then just start to fold down forward here. If you have two blocks, that would be great. You could even get very creative and use a chair. You could pull a chair in from the sides and just kind of lean into it. Again, safe and steady, keeps the heart open. So I want you to lean into this, hands down to the floor. And then as your hands go down, make sure there's some steadiness there. You're going to sweep your right arm forward and press back through your left leg. And when you're ready, untwist, take your hands down and step forward. What a delight. All right. Second side now. Come back forward. Down. Slide up. Lift the same arm as your standing leg and turn. And release all the way down. Lift. Step forward. And just take a few moments just to be grateful for being alive, for exploring the fun and the games of this beautiful practice we call yoga, and the wonderful Anusara teaching that keeps a heart theme alive. So it makes it very interesting and turns it into a deeper personal growth teaching. Okay, we're going to do some cool downs now. So come down to your seat. Choose a block if you'd like. You take as long as you'd like, seated. Then we're going to just begin to do gentle twists. As you pull on your knee, you can just turn gently to your left. And then inhale to the center, change sides. Breath in, follow the exhalation. And breathe back to the center. Lean back, take a moment, shake your legs out. Now let's come back to where we were before, except for open up a little bit here. An option is to use a block under your knee if you like, or put a pillow or a rolled towel or blanket there. So we're going to just take a moment just to kind of lean into this, root down into your front left leg. Just fold over. And again, if it's more convenient for you in the video to turn your mat to face me, you can do that. Or you can just take your legs wider than your mat. So we're working with this inner spiral that's dropping down, and then the tailbone rooting. And that keeps this whole pelvic area steady. So you can start to explore reaching out a little bit further. So I'm lifting my toes up and just gradually pushing out. And keeping the tailbone scooped, the sacrum presses in and lengthens you up. Inner spiral, outer spiral, inner thigh drop, tailbone drop. And then you just kind of fold open. You can even press yourself a little wider. If you want, even reach and turn over towards your front foot. And then lift up, pull out. Let's do the other side. And then we're going to come back to that and go for a further reach. Take a moment just to fold down on the inside of your right leg. Melt the shoulder down. Gradually begin to stretch out and turn. You can push into a block, or you can push into the floor. And come out. Now let's go a little bit deeper, or not. So you can just be right here and just have a grand time, or you can press the edge a little bit and go for the reaching push. But always we're coming back to using this effort, using the practice to enjoy the body, to align it and create expansion. So we always want to be safe. You always want to be mindful, not overstretching. Have a kind of quality of playfulness so grace can run free. The practice becomes more playful. So always check your ego and enjoy the ride. Lift if you like. Stay as high as you like. Keep pushing out through your foot. And if you can, take your hand all the way down to your toes. Remember that it has to be your pose. Guided by your feelings. Your sense of holding on to the lightness of the practice. You might even see the difference from side to side here too. Go in, pushing out, melting down. You can stay right here, like pushing off of your back thigh, or you can lift and reach. and come up. Lean back and just stretch up through your legs. So I want you to come to your back and take a couple moments just to find some relaxation in your low back, like pulling knees up towards your shoulders or windshield wipers. For me, this is a great relief just to let the weight drop down and do gentle rolls. If you are done, you might just stop right now with your feet together and your knees wide with the block underneath it. And just move right in towards a Shavasana. Or you could join me to go into a variation of bridge pose, Setu Bandha. So with your feet a little bit wider than your hips, shoulders down, tailbone, just at ease so that there's a sense that your pubic bones are extending out and your low back arches a little, I should say, rounds up. Now I have a block in my hand, so when I lift up to bridge, I'm going to just push into my feet, get enough clearance to put the block down either in the medium or you might prefer the flat level. And then I'm just rolling the shoulders back so my sacrum is supported by the block. And stretch up through the belly. My seat is just kind of hanging over the edge so it's rested and restorative. There's many places you could just have your arms right by your side, or you could even enjoy a stretch overhead. Stay here a little longer if you like, or if you want to join me in lifting higher, you lift, take the block out, and then you get steady, and then you lift up, even maybe touching your heels, pushing down and out through your knees, big arch, our last big back bend, our last big pose. And now come all the way down. And take a couple of moments just to move through windshield wipers. If you want to take this a little bit deeper into your hips, you can tip all the way down and take the bottom ankle to the outside of your top knee. And then you can push into it, add a weight, or you can even add a support here. Release, take a couple little swipes. And then tip to the other side. And if you want, again, ankle on top. If that's too much pressure on your body, don't use that extra weight. And then release. Now do any final little movement, any little roll or stretch, whatever feels good on your body, until you're ready just to lay yourself out into the resting pose called Shavasana. With your arms by your side, you let your legs just open up and your shoulders drop. Now as you rest in Shavasana, feel the weight of your body just being held and supported by the planet below you. Know that you are loved. Know that you belong here. Feel yourself relax. You can stay in Shavasana for 5 minutes or longer. And when you're ready, come up and gently stretch out. I hope you enjoyed this sequence.